What's going on, everybody? Evan here with Evan's Detailing and Polishing with another short video for you. This one's about tipping your buff. Now, I get a bunch of questions asking me all the time. People will send me pictures. The center of my tanks look really good, but the outer edges have lines on just the outer edges. 9 times out of 10, if I ask somebody to video it and send me that video, what they're doing is they're actually tipping their buff to the side instead of moving their body side to side with them. Now, what does that do? If I tip my buff on the side, the second I tip this thing on its side, and I'm now buffing with this face instead of this edge, as soon as I tip that sideways, my overlap goes from let's just say a ½ inch, not a ½ inch, it's probably less than a ½ inch, but if my overlap was a ½ inch, as soon as I tip it sideways, it thins out to about a ¼ inch. So if you're coming down this way and you're tilting out, see how I turn the buff out instead of keeping it square? If I turn it out, my buff's going to get real skinny over here, so your overlap has got to be really super tight down here. When I come back and I get this way and I start tilting that way, it does the same thing. Anytime you're polishing out on one of the two edges, your buff gets skinny. As soon as your buff gets skinny, your overlap gets skinny, and you have to compensate for one or the other. So if you're going to do that, you'd have to tighten up your overlap. I recommend not doing that, finding yourself a square point and either rocking your hips or getting a rolling chair and rolling with it, rolling back and forth, widen your stance and roll with it so you can get away from that. But let's do a little demo for you and bring you in close. I'll do a little buff spot here straight on, and I'll do another buff spot there out on an angle so I can actually show you how skinny that line gets. Alright, so I went up 2 passes both ways, and if you look here closely, look at how skinny this one is. This one's only about this wide, and this one's about that wide. Makes a huge difference just by tipping your buff. So, if you're tipping your buff, or you don't know you're tipping your buff, just have somebody video you and watch your own video. Watch and see if you are tipping your buff to the side when you get to the edges, or if you're leaving it flat. Leaving it flat is where you want to be. You want to be up on that edge all the time. Why? Because the edge builds way more heat than out on the surface edge will. Keep it square. That's the #1 thing. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope this one was short and sweet, but understand your issues.